I realized I start like most of my videos have started off with me saying all right. So this time I'm intentionally not going to do that. But I'm actually at a pretty cool place right now. Huge lake. There's a huge lake on the other side too of this hill. And then there's like some ducks and geese over there, like next to those trees. Anyway, I'm gonna sit down and talk about whatever I plan to talk about. Okay. Yeah, so one of the things I've talked a lot about is meditation. And I think it's kind of cool because it's one of those things where it's so simple on one hand, like you just sit there and do nothing. But on the other hand, there's many different aspects to it. Like I kind of mentioned in my consciousness video, there's the physical aspects, the ways you changed, just in many different ways, like relationally. Yeah, it's starting to rain harder. If it rains too much, then I'm gonna go. But yeah, another part of it that I wanted to talk about is about intelligence, and experience, and understanding what you don't know and understanding what you do know. And a big idea that goes with it is understanding what you know versus what you believe, and not taking your beliefs or assumptions as what you know. So with meditation, like one way to look at it is it's about enhancing your experience. So you're trying to enhance your perception and enhance what you know, really. And I mentioned in my consciousness video that I don't like academics or whatever. I have nothing against academics, but I think academics with application is the important thing. Without application, I think it's just a lot of knowledge, you know? And a lot of people mistake knowledge and memory for intelligence. They mistake memorizing things, or mainly I'm thinking about memorizing things. They mistake that for intelligence. And so this is something I wanted to say. I think there's a lot of people who they learn a few things, they learn a few words or a few ideas that make them look or sound smart, and they repeat that around their social circles or around on social media. And they think that that's intelligence, but that's not intelligence. That's just, you learn something and you're just repeating it. And well, I don't want to get in too much trouble, but I think there's a lot of people like that at university. A lot of people like that at university who mistake memory and knowledge for intelligence. And another way to look at intelligence is a lot of the times, like in our society, because we live in an intellectual society, we commonly associate intelligence with intellect. And I'm trying to separate intellect as a different dimension of intelligence, because I'm trying to highlight other forms of intelligence. Because so what I'm trying to describe as intellect, that would be like your logic and your reasoning. Okay, this is this way or that way. The sequences of thinking that are complex and they have multiple steps. But I'm trying to look at intelligence as, like, for example, like you put food into your body and that food becomes you. Or you put together soil, sunlight, and water, and that becomes a flower. I'm trying to look at that as intelligence. And I mentioned, in my consciousness video, intuition as well, as a different dimension of intelligence. And that comes from paying attention to something intently, not thinking about it, not reasoning about it with your mind. It comes from paying attention. So yeah, I think a lot of people mistake memory for intelligence, and I wanted to describe like a way to live that I really admire. Oh dang, those ducks just landed on the water. So yeah, so like I said, there's a lot of people that they learn things to try and look smart or sound smart. Academic jargon. I think that's a good way to kind of describe that. Academic jargon. And I think I've even heard like a lot of academic papers, the words and vocabulary and things they use, it's just very extra, and it's not needed. Really, like the main ideas are much more simpler. And so this is one thing I was thinking about. So there's a lot of smart people who they can only communicate with other smart people. They find that they can't gain anything from those who don't have the same level of vocabulary or language as they do. And well, I think that really shows a lack of intelligence rather than intelligence, because intelligence is able to recognize other forms of intelligence. I think if you're truly intelligent, you can see the genius and intelligence within every human being. And that has nothing to do with school or grades. So I think a sign of intelligence is being able to understand many different types of people. Being very receptive and being able to mold yourself to any sort of person, really. I kind of imagine it as like water or liquid sometimes, taking the shape of its container. I think that's intelligence. Intelligence is perceiving the situation at that time and coming up with the best solution for it. Not having a predetermined set of ideas or knowledge and applying that. Because yeah, I think that's a lot of what school is. And like I said, knowledge isn't useless. It's useful with application, but I think there's other ways. There's other ways to test intelligence. And it's hard to say, how schools and things should change, but I don't have a perfect idea right now, how to change schools, but I guess anyone can recognize that, though, the difference between intellect and other forms of intelligence. And I think, like I was saying, it's important to recognize what you know and what you don't know. And I think it's more idiotic to think that you know or say that you know something that you really don't know. It's really much more sensible to recognize that you don't know it. And the thing too with that is, if you recognize that you don't know, you're going to be more alert, and your intelligence is going to be working much more intently if you recognize that you don't know. Like I mentioned in my consciousness video, if you come to a lot of conclusions with your mind, it doesn't work very well for you. It's not mulling over things. It's not constantly guessing at new possibilities. It takes away a lot of your perception if you come to a lot of conclusions. And I think, the easiest way actually to see that is people again. I think I've learned a lot just from other people. I've learned a lot just from my experiences of other people. And I think that's possible for anyone. If you pay enough attention to other people, you can learn a lot from them. You can learn a lot from anyone, any single person. If you pay attention to them, you can learn something that you can know something that you just didn't know before. So your mind works much better for you. Your intelligence works much better for you if you recognize what you don't know and what you do know. And I think it's more idiotic to think you know something that you don't really know. Oh yes, okay, so I remember some other things that I was going to talk about. So one of the speakers I really like, I mentioned it in the last video, but he talks about things existentially. He describes a lot of things in terms of the existence. And I gotta remember what I was gonna say. So he described your mind as permutations and combinations of the data that you've already gathered. And if you think about the vastness of the existence, what you know in experience is a very, very small, insignificant percentage of that. So it's much more sensible to identify with what you don't know. I think it's much better to be an intelligent fool than a smart idiot. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I guess the distinction I'm trying to derive is the difference between what you know and what you don't know. And I think too, having the humility, having the sense and honesty of admitting and recognizing what you don't know is something that's respectable in another way, in the way of humility. Being an intelligent fool. And I think it's a beautiful way to live whenever everyone around you thinks you're very competent, but you yourself, you know you're a fool. You know that what you know is a very small percentage of what's out there. And so I thought about another thing. He always describes situations in relation to the existence. And if you think about it, we don't even know one atom in this universe in its entirety. The basic building block of this universe, we don't even understand it 100%. And think about how many times textbooks have been written to describe the atom and how many times that's been updated. So I think it's very easy to I guess almost see that science is to treat science as like another religion, honestly. To treat science as, to treat life that it's all science. It's all determined by science, but science is a tool. Science is a tool for us to use. And if you're able to recognize the place that science holds, then you can see how much more there is to life. And another way to describe whatever I'm talking about is the difference between knowledge and experience. What you know by knowledge and thoughts is very insignificant to what you know by experience and what's in your memory. And that's what sharpens your intuition, what experience you have and what memory you have. So yeah, I'm thinking about one of my friends. I mentioned to him before that the reason why I like him is that I recognize that he's very intelligent, but I said his head's not up his ass. So yeah, he's an intelligent guy, but he doesn't take himself too seriously, you know? He doesn't take himself too seriously. He doesn't think he has everything figured out. And he still respects each person as like a unique human being that has something to offer. And I think that's far more intelligent than classifying people as smart, not smart. Okay, the not smart people just have nothing to offer. These people are just incompetent. And with school, yeah, it's very easy to come to those conclusions because of the nature of school, because we measure progress by grades, and that results in comparison, and just there's good and bad with comparison. So it looks like this person just has nothing to offer by what their grades show, but intelligence is much more than that. Intelligence is much more than that. I'm not sure what else to say. I know I didn't describe many other forms of intelligence, but I guess I'll think about it. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say for now. And I would just say that being an intelligent fool is a very humble way to live. Whenever everyone respects your competence, but you yourself know that you're a fool, and you know that you don't know that much, and there's still always a lot out there to learn and experience. I think that's a beautiful way to live. And yeah, I guess that's it. I think if you pay enough attention to anything in this universe, you'll see there's a lot to offer. And whenever I say like pay enough attention, I'm probably describing a lot more attention than what you think. Probably what you think is impractical, but that's how life is. You have to spend a lot of time if you want to do something significant. So, and especially paying enough attention to any human being, you can recognize the genius and intelligence and how much they have to offer. Anyone. So yeah, recognizing the genius and intelligence of any person, I think, is much more intelligent than classifying someone as smart or dumb and thinking that they just have nothing to offer because their capabilities are different than your capabilities. And the way they think or do things doesn't make sense to you, but it makes sense to them. And I guess if you pay enough attention to them and you watch them go through certain situations, you can just see how brilliant some people are. And you would just never expect it. So yeah, I think that's much more sensible. And it's pretty idiotic to classify people as dumb or smart or something like that. And a big part of that is just an ego thing. I know a lot of people, they have a big ego around being smart and like knowing a lot of things. And that's, I don't know, I just feel like that's just not even as much of an enjoyable way to live as being an intelligent fool. not thinking that you know way more than others, not seeing a difference between you and others, but everyone around you respecting your competence, but you yourself know that you're a fool. I think that's a much more beautiful way to live, having that humility, than being a stuck-up idiot, you know? So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say.